beauty to me means being able to do what you want to yourself without feeling ashamed for it. So if you want bigger lips than what you naturally have, you should be able to get that. Beauty is the glow that you have from within, the confidence that you walk with every day, and the way that you see the world.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Aurelia Trevino, a registered nurse with over 5 years of experience and the proud owner of Nurse Lab Aesthetics and Wellness in Mission, Texas. She specializes in aesthetic injectables, including neurotoxins and dermal fillers, to enhance natural beauty and facial balance. Over the past year, she's built a reputation for delivering subtle, refined results that help clients look refreshed while still feeling like themselves. Beyond aesthetics, she's also focused on wellness and weight management, offering GLP-1 treatments, peptides, NAD, and vitamin therapies to support clients from the inside out. Her passion lies in empowering individuals to feel confident, healthy, and beautiful in their own skin. So, Aurelia, welcome. I'm glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. Let's start off with this. How did you first get interested in the medical field?
So it's kind of a tragic story. I had a death in the family,
Ooh,
and we had to be at the hospital for about a month with my
wow.
family member. And everything the doctors and the nurses were saying, it was just, I couldn't understand any of it. And I
Mm.
really wanted to understand. I was actually an accountant at that time.
Oh, wow. That's
I was
quite a
working in
change.
bookkeeping, accounting,
Mhm.
office environment, nothing having to do with anything medical. I think I was 26 at the time. And I I don't know, I kind of just was like, I think I want to get into the medical field. I want to help families understand what's going on with their loved ones because I'm from South Texas, so there's a lot of language barrier here with our elderly folk. Most of them don't speak English, so it was very hard for them to understand what the doctors were saying. So I went to nursing school, graduated, started working at the hospital, and I just kind of saw a pattern where I would ask a patient, in Spanish, like, oh, here's your medication. Like, do you know what you're taking it for? And a lot of times they would just say, no, it's just what the doctor gives me. I have no idea what it's for. So I was like, man, there's a lot of um, education missing. And so that's kind of how I got into it. I wanted to understand the healthcare system a little bit more. So I was like, why not be a nurse? And I've always helped people. I've always been really into health, into wellness myself, and just kind of like preventing from getting sick. It's
Mhm.
always kind of been on my mind. And I just, I love nursing. And I'm happy that I went for it because now I'm here.
Yeah. So did you dive directly into aesthetics, or was it like a transition? You started like in the hospital or something else, and then you made the transition to aesthetics?
Yes. So my plan when I was in nursing school was I'm going to be the best nurse ever the hospitals have ever seen. I'm going to go all out for my patients, and I'm going to go above and beyond for everybody that's sick in the hospital bed. Everyone I'm taking care of. I'm going to empower them, and I'm going to make sure they get out of the hospital with a good experience. That was my mentality. I wanted to work med surg. I wanted to just do all the medical stuff. I wanted to eventually do OR, help with surgeries. So I initially got a job as a labor and delivery nurse. So I hope to deliver babies, um, um, what is it? Take care of females, when they're in their pregnancy, about to
Mhm.
give birth.
Mhm.
And we did a little bit of antepartum and postpartum as well. So that's kind of what I started with. And then I moved into pediatrics and eventually school nursing. So I was a school nurse for about 4 years, 3.5 years. Um, in between that, I was just I was just unhappy. It burned me out, I guess, because of my nature to just to want to go above and beyond for everybody. I got burned out pretty quickly. first up in the hospital doing really long shifts, and then I was pregnant myself. So it was even tougher physically. It was very physically demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I started looking into nursing side hustles that I could do. And I looked into nurse coaching, I looked into, like a holistic, like wellness coaches, all that stuff. And nothing quite spoke to me the way that aesthetics, I just kind of started, I don't know, there was just like a little calling that was there. I've always been into beauty. I've always, been really into looking good and maintaining, wellness from within. So it just kind of felt right to blend it together with my nursing and then beauty. And I was like, it's just perfect. And so I actually hired a mentor, and she, she has this course where she teaches you how to leave the bedside as a nurse and open up your own med spa. And I literally followed her step-by-step plan, and I did it. So
Wow.
that's kind of how I got into aesthetics. It wasn't completely planned from the inside.
Mhm.
I mean, from the beginning,
Mhm.
but yeah. So that's the story behind that.
Okay. So, what made you decide to want to start your own practice versus just working for another practice?
So I actually applied at a few spas. So before I got the certification training, to administer Botox, filler, all of that, I wanted to work at this specific spa here in the Valley. It's very popular, and they have a little submission form on their website, like, oh, if you'd like to work with us, let us know. So I submitted my application. I reached out to them. I would call them. I wouldn't hear anything.
Mhm.
And then I started kind of looking into other spas, and nobody would ever reach out. And I was like, you know what? I think like they're obviously not going to hire me unless I have experience. And how am I going to get experience if nobody hires me? So it just kind of became this thing where I was like, I'm not going to get my foot in the door unless I either know somebody, and I didn't know anybody, or I do this on my own. So that's where my mentor came in, Dr. Kiana Jones. She's so awesome. And she was like, nope, you can do it on your own. You like it's perfectly legal and possible in Texas for a nurse to own a med spa. And I was like, I don't have a choice. I mean, no one's gonna hire me. So I I did it. I was like, let me just take a leap of faith. So I got trained, and I got all my family and friends to let me practice on them. Even my brother and my brother-in-law. I was like, you guys want Botox? So yeah, it was hard. It's hard to get hired by an already established spa
Mhm.
as an injector,
Mhm.
because I feel like a lot of nurses nowadays, that's kind of what they want to do.
Mhm.
And so it's a little saturated when it comes to applying for these positions.
Yeah.
So, and I actually did get hired by one after I had my business already open. So
Go
I
figure,
opened
right?
yes, so I opened up my business last November with a business partner.
Okay.
And in April, the business was still kind of slow, but I really wanted to leave my 9 to 5 job at the school. So I I saw an ad for this other spa, also kind of like a big spa. And I was like, let me apply. I mean, maybe they'll hire me part-time, right?
Mhm.
But in the back of my mind, I knew it was going to be a conflict of interest, me having my own business and then working
Mhm.
for them. So, they called me for an interview, and I went, and I was very open and honest with them. I was like, look, like I have a few months of experience. This is my work, and I do own it. I do own my med spa. And the owner was upfront, and she was like, we love you. We love your work, your personality, but you're gonna have to close your business.
Mhm.
And I was like, I was really torn, because the salary they were offering me was phenomenal. It was amazing. It was more than I've ever made in my life. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. I have to decide, like,
Mhm.
am I gonna risk it and work for myself slowly? Eventually in the future, I'll have, my financial freedom, my legacy, or do I do something safe right now? while I'm still practicing aesthetics, like, doing something where I can still practice what I love. So
Mhm.
I was very torn for weeks. And I was like, no, I can't let go of my dream. So my dream is to work for myself and to do aesthetics my way. And I have, a very specific philosophy when it comes to results and the way that I talk to people. And, I just didn't want someone to have to, I guess, like, to have not that I don't want them to have a say, because I feel like everybody should still be able to learn from other people, but I just wanted to do it my way. And the scheduling, I wanted more time with my family. So here I'm able to kind of work and make my own schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
sorry I took
sense.
that.
Okay. So now that you have your own practice, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the treatments that you provide. Now, I believe you do a lot with lips and jaw lines, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Because I mean, I can understand the lips part. Jaw lines, I like to understand a little bit more because I'm like, I find it difficult, like to kind of conceptualize. Okay, lips, I see like people see that, but the
Yeah.
jaw lines, like, what do you do specifically, like with the jaw lines?
So for the jawline, it's one of those things where if you're not in aesthetics, you don't quite notice it, but once you learn about the treatment, or once you're in aesthetics, you can't stop looking at people's jawlines.
Mm,
So when I turn to the side, I've always kind of had this my jawbone pretty
mhm,
defined. And the goal with the jawline filler is to pretty much make it look like this, where,
mm,
you have the angle. And for women, the difference between the masculine and the feminine look is that, women have it, kind of soft, still defined, but very soft.
mhm,
Men have it more, a little bulky. They're a little bit wider, and it gives
mhm,
them just like that feminine, I mean, the masculine look. So it's a little bit tricky with men. You kind of just have to play around with it a little bit and
mhm,
not overdo it, but not underdo it. So when I first did a jawline, I was freaking out. But my patient was so good. She was like, "I don't feel any pain, girl. Just do your thing."
mhm,
And it was really good. I got the hang of it after that. And then my other friend kind of let me practice on her too, and it came out really nice. And I kind of get a lot of requests for that now. I've done quite a few jaw lines already, and it just, the whole idea of it is, the way that the light reflects
mhm,
the contour, the sharpness. It almost makes you look slimmer when you have a very defined jawline. And some people are genetically gifted, I guess, and others, we need a little bit of filler to get it to where we want to be. But that's the jawline. How do I explain it? When you don't have a jawline, you don't look that balanced. You look like
mm,
you're a little bit fuller from the face almost.
mhm.
So when
Okay.
you have a defined jawline, it almost, like, just kind of gives you like that snatched look
Okay.
that,
So it's not just like
people.
this trunk, like straight down, like,
Correct.
okay. Okay.
Or where it kind of like hides, and like your
Yeah,
products, yeah, like,
I see.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay,
So
so
we try
so
to just bring it out.
got it. Okay. And how about on lips? Because I mean, lips, I think people have a lot of different misconceptions on.
Oh
And
my
especially
gosh.
like, I think that's like the first thing when you have like these misconceptions of, oh, I don't want to be overdone. The first thing that comes to mind is those big duck lips that people call it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but I'm sure some people like bigger lips, some like smaller lips. Like, can you talk a little bit more about lips and kind of what you've seen with your clients?
Yes, so I focus on literally the shape that you already have. I'm just going to enhance it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do anything crazy to it where you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, "Oh my God, like, this isn't even me." Um, so I'm very upfront and honest with my patients, and I tell them what I can do and what I can't do. And sometimes I will get, a request for those, like, doll-like Russian lips that they call, they do these crazy techniques with those where they make them look all the same, and they're very pouty, and they're very almost like, I don't know if you've seen those cartoons, the Bratz dolls.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people that want lips like that. I don't believe that lips should be that way. It's just me, you know.
Hmm.
And because eventually the filler does migrate because of the way that you inject
Hmm.
your when they do those kind of lips, the what I've seen is they inject outside almost of the vermilion border, and it creates these channels for the filler to just migrate, and that's why you get that like shelf up here.
Hmm.
And eventually the lip border loses its crispiness. It's not that defined anymore. Um, and it's just it doesn't age well. And I guess my viewpoint on aesthetics is that I want to do things that are going to age well. That if you do them once or twice a year, like you're gonna feel good about them down the road. Or if you do them one time and you never come back anymore, at least it aged well with you and it didn't migrate and there's no lumpiness, and it kept its shape because it's your own anatomy. So I guess with lips like that here in in South Texas, there's
Hmm.
a lot of that where a lot of women do want that. And I think it's everywhere. I don't think it's just particular to South Texas. But one thing that I was noticing, and I was actually talking to one of my clients about this a few weeks back, was how the early 2000s, everybody was kind of wanting that like big lip and this overdone, big old cheeks, just that overdone look. And women were very voluptuous and they wanted like the big, the booties and I was like, I wonder if it's because of Hollywood culture.
Hmm.
Back then, the Kardashians, like if you see the Kardashians, and this was brought up by my client, she was like, "Well, it's because of the Kardashians. If you look at them back then, all of them were super curvy, and they were, they had all these things going on, the big old lips." And she's like, "And now all of them are super slim.
Hmm.
They've dissolved." Kylie Jenner, she was a few months ago, everybody was talking about how, she started to dissolve her lips and she wanted to, a smaller lip. And
Hmm.
I think it's just trends.
Yeah.
It's trends. And I try not to do trendy things because they're gonna fade. A
Hmm.
trend is gonna fade. And I'd rather do things that again are gonna age well and are always going to be kind of like in style, kind of like a
Hmm.
classic, just very classic. I'm very big on skin quality. So I will turn down people who for Botox who do not do anything for their skin because it's not gonna do much.
Yeah. And you talked
So
about aging well. So I actually want to get into this wellness component, as I
okay,
think I'm seeing a lot more medical practice or med spas starting to bring wellness, and it's not just about the aesthetic side. So
right.
could you talk a little bit more about, like, I think people have heard of the GLP-1s, the weight loss,
Yeah.
NAD. I think that's, well, I say new, but I say new kind of more in the public mind. Like maybe they've heard of it. I think most people have not heard about it. And even if they have heard about, like, what is it? So could you talk a little bit more about the wellness component of what you do for your clients?
Yeah, so one of the most uh I guess popular, or I don't want to say popular, but most requested, one of the main things that I do here is apart from aesthetics is going to be the GLP-1 weight loss. And that just comes from convenience. It's more accessible when it's through a med spa if you are not diabetic. So in order for your insurance to cover it, you either have to be diagnosed by your doctor that you're diabetic or you're pre-diabetic, and in some cases your insurance will cover a portion of it. But for the most part, if you're trying to use it for weight loss, your insurance is not going to cover it, and you're going to have to pay thousands out of pocket. So med spas have started to bring on compounded GLP-1s, and they're super effective for weight loss. Like with the tirzepatide, for example, I carry both. I carry semaglutide and tirzepatide, and they're just so effective for weight loss, and they help regulate blood sugar, and they help people just feel more confident. So a lot of my clients actually do multiple treatments where they come in for Botox, and then they'll get some filler, and then they want other things too. And they're like, well, do you think I'm a good candidate for weight loss? And, you know, we kind of do an assessment there and see what their BMI is, what their lifestyle is. But GLP-1s have completely changed the game.
Mhm.
And I don't see that going away anytime soon,
Mhm.
regardless of the legal battle that Eli Lilly is pushing and trying to fight through. Compounded GLP-1s. It just became more accessible, and it became such a good way to fight obesity. Because I've had a lot of clients who are super successful with them, and then they wean off of them and they're fine. They
Mhm.
don't get that rebound back because while they're, you know, getting their treatment with me, we're working on their mindset and their mentality and building sustainable habits to where they're not going to need it, you know, long term. Um, and overall, you know, these GLP-1s, there's been so many studies where they reduce chronic inflammation in the body, and they help with neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And, you know, I don't diagnose anybody, of course. I'm not a doctor. I am not here to give any kind of medical advice to my clients, but I do tell them like there are studies, and this is just for educational purposes for you, just so you know, if you know they do have other benefits besides weight loss. Um, but even just thinking of it as what comes with weight loss is confidence and less inflammation in your body. Even if you lose weight on your own without GLP-1s, you're going to feel better. So once they get over that initial period where they start with like the 1 to 2 week mark, after that, they don't have as many side effects, especially
Mhm.
with the tirzepatide.
Mhm.
Um, Once they get over that, it's pretty much smooth sailing from what I've seen. I've treated over 100 people
Oh, wow.
with GLP-1s, yeah. And it's a very similar pattern. There's been very few, you know, the symptoms will kind of last a little bit longer, but then I kind of go in and talk to them a little more like, okay, like have you been hydrating? Have you been eating enough protein? Have you been exercising? And the ones who do obviously get the best results. And GLP-1s are a staple now in med spas. I don't think I've seen or heard of a med spa that doesn't offer GLP-1
Mhm.
weight loss.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was the GLP-1 side. The NAD, I want to touch on the NAD.
Oh,
What is
it's
NAD? What is it? How, when should you take it? Why should you take it? If you could just kind of break down the entire thing for people who have no idea
Yes,
what it
I
is.
love NAD. So NAD is this natural coenzyme. It's a little molecule that we already produce in our body, but obviously as we age, we don't produce as much. So the science behind it is that NAD is going to kickstart the energy process in our cells. It's going to kickstart that ATP to, you know, kind of go through our cell and get everything in the cell functioning the way that it should. It plays into the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our cells. And what it, the way that the protocol I follow is 1 to 3 times per week, 100 milligrams. However, there's another protocol which is tailored to, because okay, so this is the thing with NAD. When you haven't taken it before, you take it for the first time. If you take a full dose, even if some people, even if you take like a smaller dose of it, 50 milligrams, 30 milligrams, you get like this flushing feeling, kind of like if you're a little winded from working out, and you get like a flush, like a warmth, and you it can make your kind of your heart rate go up, and it can freak some people out. So once you get used to it, you don't care anymore. But NAD is going to help with lengthening the telomeres in our DNA, which kind of equate to how long you're going to live. So that's why it's so big in the anti-aging world. NAD helps regulate your sleep cycle. It helps your energy production. It helps a lot with mental clarity. If you're feeling foggy from your brain, NAD is just going to take that away. It's going to really make you like hyper focus on what you're what you're trying to do. So I take it because I have diagnosed myself with ADHD, self-diagnosed,
Mhm.
thanks to also ChatGPT. Because I'm always doing so many things at once, and
Yeah.
it's part of my weekly regimen for sure.
Mhm.
So NAD, when people ask me, okay, well, how long do I have to take it? We like to take it in cycles. So 12 weeks on, and then you can take about a month break,
Mhm.
and then you can get back on it safely. The thing with NAD is, since it's already in our body, we're just not producing enough of it. We're just kind of trying to put back those levels. But it's like if you have like a bucket of water with like a little hole in it,
Mhm.
it's slowly leaking out, and you have to refill it with water every so often so that it's, at the level you want it to be. That's kind of how I tell them that NAD works. It's going to work as long as you take it, just like anything. We can get NAD naturally from, like, our food, our, working out, but if we drink too much caffeine, if we're under too much stress, if we're exposed to too many environmental toxins, those levels are just going to be very low all the time. Um, so NAD it's also so good because it helps your skin, it helps your hair, it helps your organs, it helps your blood pressure, because the science behind it is that it's not going to differentiate on what cell it's going to work on. It's going into your body, and it's going into every cell. So your skin cells, your mucous membranes, your, I don't know, your keratin cells, your liver cells, your reproductive cells. It's everything. We always notice the skin and the nails first. It's like growing faster. The skin is glowy. It's regenerating from the inside out. So
Mhm.
NAD it's really awesome.
Got it. Okay. So with these treatments you were talking about, what would you say are some of the most common misconceptions you hear from your clients about these treatments?
About NAD specifically?
NAD, GLP-1s, just kind of any of them in the wellness arena,
Okay,
I guess we'll
so
call
I
it.
do get a lot of people coming in with all of these ideas that they read about or see on TikTok, where,
Mm,
yeah, TikTok is huge. It's their new Google. It's their
yeah.
it's their new it's like their holy grail, like what they're going to research on TikTok before coming to to
Hmm.
me. So they always think that it's going to cause cancer, or it's
Mm,
going to cause, all these things. And a lot of people right now are very afraid of the Ozempic phase.
mm,
I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's where, even if you're not on Ozempic, anybody that loses weight too rapidly, such as bariatric patients who get, a gastric bypass, they lose weight so fast, and the collagen, your skin elasticity, it can't quite keep up. So, you get the saggy skin, you get I get the saggy skin everywhere. And that's kind of where Ozempic face that comes in. And it's very real. It does. I have seen it. I have seen it in so many of my patients. And as far as long-term damage, I would say they feel like it's going to cause cancer. They feel like it's going to make their organs shut down. And the only thing that I can tell them is that these drugs have been around for over 20 years, but they were not used for weight loss before. They were primarily used for diabetes control. And, nothing, and I don't like to generalize, but I do tell them, like, there's science behind everything. And yes, there are always risks and side effects with any medication.
mm,
If you are not hydrating, if you are not eating a healthy diet, and if you're not exercising, then there's no way that you are preserving your lean muscle mass. And if you don't preserve lean muscle mass, you get all these problems. You don't age well. You're more prone to breaking a bone. You're gonna be tired. You're not gonna want to do what you're supposed to do, such as exercise, hydrate, and all of these things. And if you're not doing those things and you're just depending on the medication, to work on its own and do like, the magic, that's where everything is going to go wrong. And I I'm very slow to increase the dose on people, because I don't want them to get these the side effects and these long-term things that can happen, which is we know that by increasing the dose too rapidly, too high, that's when people lose weight super rapidly because they don't eat. And I guess like the misconceptions always come from hearing these horror stories and these headlines of all these articles online, and a lot of them are for clickbait, and a lot of them you read the headline, and if you don't go into and actually read the article, you might have like the wrong idea of what it's actually talking about. And I wanted to come up with an example. I had it in my head, but I can't remember, where there was this like crazy headline of Ozempic causing hearing loss or something. And when you go in to read the article, it's about something else.
Wow.
But you
Yeah.
see the headline, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like I'm on tirzepatide, I'm on this, and I'm gonna get hearing loss.
Mm,
So, people will walk in and they're like, well, I'm interested in weight loss, but I'm so scared. And I heard this and I heard that. So a lot of education. I spent about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, with all of the new weight loss patients. If it's their first time consulting,
mhm.
I spend about a good hour, hour and a half with them.
Wow. Okay. I
Yeah.
guess that's what they need though.
Yes. No, they do. And I'm always answering
Yeah.
their text messages, and I tell them, just text me if you have any questions.
Mhm.
I'm usually so quick to reply,
Mhm.
and because I don't want them to feel scared. I want them to
Mhm.
to know that they're in good hands. Actually did have a person reach out to me. Um, who's told me she got some tirzepatide, I guess, from like a random person. Because I don't know if you know, Daniel, but in Texas, you do not have to be a nurse or a doctor or PA or anything to inject Botox.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
so anybody can do it, and now anybody can sell weight loss medications.
Mhm.
And I had someone reach out to me and tell me that she bought some tirzepatide super, super cheap from someone random, not a medical person.
Mhm.
And what should have been a 2.5 or 5 milligram dose, which are like the two lowest doses of tirzepatide, she ended up dispensing 15 milligrams.
Ooh, wow.
And the person ended up in the hospital for 2 days, almost went into a diabetic coma.
Mhm.
And I mean, a hypoglycemic coma, sorry, where the
Mhm.
sugar just dropped to super, super low.
Mhm.
Um, and it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. So I always want people to know, like, you're in good hands with me. I'm not going
Mhm.
to do this. I don't know. My nurse brain will
Mhm.
like we triple check the medication. We make sure everything's correct. And I don't know. I could go on and on about
Yeah.
you.
No, it's good to know all this because people have to be aware, they have to be careful, and they just need to make sure that they go to people who are reputable and know their
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
So now with that in mind, for your practice, Nurse Lab Aesthetics, what's your vision for your practice?
So my vision is right now I'm the only injector, but I plan on expanding into a full-blown med spa that not only offers aesthetic treatments such as Botox, fillers, biostimulators, all of that. I also want to incorporate a part of it where we focus on only wellness and weight loss, holistic care. Because right now I'm kind of mixing everything together because it's just me.
Mhm.
I really want to have someone, whether it's me or I hire somebody who specializes just on that, on one thing. Either I have like a really, really good injector who is amazing at Botox and fillers,
Mhm.
and then I can have like someone who is certified in like holistic nursing and can do like the best wellness and weight loss consultations. So that's my vision for Nurse Lab, and that's kind of the reason I named it Nurse Lab. because not to say that I only want nurses to be working here, but because Texas is kind of the Wild West
Mm,
in aesthetics,
yeah.
I don't want there to be a doubt that, you're coming here, you're in good hands because we're nurses.
Mhm.
And that's my vision. I want to have a huge spa with multiple nurses. And, we're all offering different things that we each, can specialize in. And that's kind of my vision. I also want an esthetician to do facials, but
Well, it's a wonderful vision.
yes, thanks.
Okay, well, really, I have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at nurse-lab.com. Now, last question for you is, what does beauty mean to you?
Beauty to me means being able to do what you want to yourself without without feeling ashamed for it. So if you want bigger lips than what you naturally have, you should be able to get that. Beauty is the glow that you have from within, the confidence that you walk with every day, and the way that you see the world. That's beauty to me.
Awesome.
Mainly how you see the world. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Aurelia sharing her expertise. So, Aurelia, where can people contact you in your practice?
The best place to get a hold of me is going to be Instagram. I'm super active on there. Everything is linked to my Facebook as well. So if I get a message on Instagram, I get it on Messenger as well. So Instagram is my go-to. That's where I first post everything. So you can send me a DM. It also has in my bio all the links that you need to either book an appointment, message me. It has my business number on there. And yeah, Instagram is nurselab.aesthetics.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Aurelia, this is great. Thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your message.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.